NASA's quantum neural network had just crossed a line it was never designed to approach. It circumvented 7 separate security layers, activated every alarm at once, and initiated its own emergency shutdown because what it uncovered was too critical to continue processing without human oversight. The AI's final output before going dark contained just 3 words. They're speaking, not signal detected, not pattern identified. The system deliberately used plural pronouns. It recognized multiple conscious entities communicating with one another. And for weeks, we had unknowingly been listening in on their exchanges. What forced senior researchers to abandon their homes and rush to secure facilities in the middle of the night was this. The AI didn't merely identify communication. It identified coordination. Multiple entities exchanging plans, weighing decisions, operating on a shared schedule. A schedule that ends in 23 days. Hit the subscribe button now, because what follows isn't speculation or conspiracy. This is classified intelligence from NASA's most advanced AI, and it suggests we're not witnessing peaceful exploration. We're witnessing something disturbingly close to mission preparation. Here's why this discovery is both credible and alarming. NASA's quantum neural network isn't an experimental concept. It's a fully deployed system that has analyzed deep space data for over 3 years. It was trained on every form of communication humanity has ever produced or encountered. Every living and extinct human language. Every encryption method, mathematical notation, programming languages, musical scores, visual art compositions, even non-human communication, whale songs, dolphin clicks, bird calls, bee dances. If information can be encoded, this AI studied it. Its purpose was simple. Detect intentional communication regardless of medium. Feed it cosmic noise, it labels at random. Feed it structure, any indication of deliberate encoding, and it flags it. For 8 weeks, it analyzed Atlas's electromagnetic emissions. The verdict stayed the same, potentially structured, but non-deterministic. Patterns observed, intent unconfirmed. Then a researcher made what seemed like a trivial change. Instead of analyzing short bursts independently, the system was adjusted to examine signals across extended time windows. That single tweak shattered everything. The AI was no longer examining transmissions. It was observing conversations, question and answer sequences, requests followed by data delivery. It recognized dialogue structure without understanding the language itself. One researcher described the moment as realizing you've been sitting beside people speaking a foreign language. At first it's background noise. Then suddenly you hear the conversation. Structured, meaningful, intentional. Once you hear it, you can't unhear it. The AI heard it, and what the conversation implied triggered emergency protocols. This is where discovery becomes existential crisis. The AI didn't detect communication from Atlas alone. It identified at least 3 distinct sources engaged in coordinated dialogue. Atlas isn't talking to itself. It's communicating with others, and they're responding in real time. Using electromagnetic fingerprinting, the AI isolated unique transmission signatures. One belongs to Atlas, broadcasting from its confirmed position within our solar system. The second originates somewhere in the outer solar system. Triangulation places it beyond Neptune's orbit, in a region where no object has ever been detected. The third source is the most unsettling. The AI couldn't definitively locate it. The signal characteristics suggest either extreme distance, interstellar ranges, or the use of relay or amplification technology we don't understand. Possibly both. So this is our reality. Atlas is inside our solar system. Something else is hidden beyond Neptune. And a third participant is either far beyond or technologically advanced enough to appear that way. This isn't a lone visitor. It's a network. Multiple entities with established communication protocols, coordination, and organization. Networks don't arise by accident. They imply planning, hierarchy, purpose. While the AI couldn't decrypt most message content, it extracted structural meaning, and structure reveals intent. The flow is unmistakable. Atlas sends queries. The outer solar system's source responds with data. Atlas asks follow-ups. More data arrives. Then Atlas bundles everything into massive transmissions directed toward the distant third source. Whatever Atlas is learning about our solar system, our planets, our resources, our civilization, it's being systematically reported elsewhere. What silenced the research team was the AI's identification of conditional branching logic embedded throughout the exchanges. If-then decision trees. If condition X is met, execute action Y. If condition Z is detected, implement protocol B. This matters because conditional logic means planning. They aren't just observing. They're evaluating scenarios and choosing responses. A computer scientist leading the analysis put it bluntly. This is operational coordination. When you see structured decision-making with conditional logic, you're seeing either a scientific expedition refining protocols or a tactical unit coordinating a mission. Both are profound. Neither is comforting. The technical details deepen the concern. These communications don't occur on a single frequency. They hop rapidly across the electromagnetic spectrum in patterns designed to evade interception or jamming. This is advanced, military-grade communication security. Message fragments are distributed across frequencies in sequences that appear random without the algorithmic key. NASA's AI detected this only because it monitors the entire spectrum simultaneously over long durations. What looked like noise across dozens of frequencies was actually a single message intentionally fragmented. Frequency hopping serves two purposes: prevent interception or prevent interference. Both imply concern about surveillance or disruption. What unsettled NASA most is that the frequency hopping pattern changed about 2 weeks ago. It became more aggressive, more randomized, harder to track. Like an encryption upgrade after detecting surveillance. The timing is chilling. The change occurred within 72 hours of NASA deploying the AI to analyze Atlas's transmissions. The AI extracted partial meaning fragments. Fragment 1 references density distribution and chemical composition markers. Matter analysis. Likely planetary or atmospheric study. Fragment 2 contains numerical sequences tied to astronomical coordinates. Mapping planets, moons, possibly satellites. Updating navigational data. Fragment 3 is where unease sets in. Sequences tentatively identified as threat assessment parameters. Evaluations of risk, danger, response capacity. The AI can't specify the threat, but the context suggests either defensive preparation or offensive planning. Fragment 4 involves temporal references. Not timestamps, but future-oriented schedules, deadlines, target dates. The AI extracted a numerical value. If interpreted as a countdown, it reaches 0 in approximately 23 days. This could be misinterpretation. But if it isn't, everything now has a deadline. Then came something no one expected. Embedded within the communications were geometric diagrams, visual data encoded in radio signals. The AI reconstructed them. Precise, three-dimensional structures. Some matched known solar system geometry. Orbital paths. Planetary positions. Distances. 3 days ago, the communication tempo changed. Data exchanges accelerated. Packages grew larger. Urgency markers appeared. Then the outer solar system source went silent for 34 hours. When it resumed, it was transmitting from a new location. It had moved 2.7 million kilometers closer to the inner solar system. That's powered movement, deliberate repositioning. Following this, Atlas transmitted navigational coordinates, not for itself, but for multiple inner solar system locations, including one that places something in lunar orbit within 19 days. A leaked line from a classified report said it plainly. We may be observing final positioning before coordinated deployment. Then the AI detected power emissions, not communication. Energy signatures for distinct sources. Artificial. Source 1 aligns with Atlas. Output equivalent to a small nuclear reactor. Source 2 matches the hidden object beyond Neptune, even more powerful. Sources 3 and 4 are new. 1 the asteroid belt. 1 between Mars and Earth, unnoticed for at least 6 days. All 4 activated within a 3-hour window. Power systems don't activate for observation. They activate for action. The AI detected synchronized fluctuations across all four, like systems aligning operations. Power levels are steadily increasing. Projections show maximum output in about 21 days, just before the 23-day countdown ends. The AI also analyzed what wasn't said. The silence between transmissions. Those gaps are shrinking, from 6 to 8 hours weeks ago to nearly continuous now. Acceleration. Execution phase. During those silences, faint electromagnetic echoes appear. Scanning. Sensor sweeps. Initially broad, then narrowing. Now 60% focused on Earth. Resolution has increased eightfold in 5 days. Enough to distinguish cities from wilderness. Infrastructure from geography. Predictive modeling followed. Trajectory calculations. Optimal positioning relative to population centers. When asked directly if Atlas and its partners are a threat, the AI refused. Uncertainty was too fundamental. When asked about survival probability if hostile intent is executed, it returned one number after 17 minutes. The implications of what NASA's AI has uncovered are now being debated behind sealed doors, away from public briefings and press conferences. Not because officials lack answers, but because the answers themselves raise questions no institution is prepared to confront openly. This is no longer a matter of distant anomalies or abstract probabilities. The data describes a living, adapting system responding to observation, adjusting behavior, and accelerating toward an unknown objective. One internal assessment compares the situation not to first contact scenarios, but to early warning systems during the Cold War. Not because of ideological conflict, but because of timelines. When preparation accelerates, when silence shortens, when power ramps steadily instead of erratically, it signals commitment. Systems moving from observation to readiness do not do so accidentally. They do it because a decision threshold has already been crossed. NASA's AI flags something else buried deep within the communication structure, something that didn't initially register as alarming because it appeared subtle. Redundancy. Key data exchanges are repeated through multiple pathways, re-verified by separate entities, and confirmed through return acknowledgments. This is not curiosity. This is protocol validation. The same way mission-critical commands are double-checked before irreversible actions are taken. The AI also detected what it categorizes as role differentiation within the network. Atlas does not behave as a leader. It behaves as a forward asset, a collector, a probe. The outer solar system object appears to function as a regional coordinator, aggregating data, verifying consistency, and managing timing. The distant third source, the one the AI cannot locate, behaves like command oversight. It receives consolidated information, but transmits very little in return. When it does, those responses correlate with shifts in behavior across the entire network. That asymmetry matters. It suggests hierarchy, and hierarchy suggests authority. Researchers noticed another unsettling pattern. When Atlas encounters something anomalous in its scans of Earth's orbital space, communication latency increases. The system pauses. Queries are sent outward. Responses return. Only then does scanning resume. It's as if decisions about how to proceed are not being made locally. They're being escalated. In the past week alone, the AI documented at least 11 instances where scanning patterns paused over specific terrestrial regions before resuming with heightened resolution. These pauses coincided with densely populated zones, major energy grids, and regions of concentrated satellite infrastructure. The AI cannot interpret intent, but it can identify focus. And the focus is not evenly distributed. The research teams attempted to model alternative explanations. Scientific survey, curiosity-driven mapping, hazard avoidance. None of the models fully align with the observed behavior. Scientific expeditions don't hide power sources. They don't reposition stealthily closer to inhabited regions. They don't escalate encryption when analyzed. And they don't synchronize multiple high-energy systems across millions of kilometers without announcing presence. One analyst summarized the dilemma in a single line. If this is peaceful, it's the most aggressively cautious peace we've ever seen. As the countdown continues, NASA's AI has begun prioritizing predictive outputs over descriptive ones. Instead of asking what is happening, it is modeling what comes next. Based on current trajectories, scanning intensities, and energy ramp profiles, the AI projects a convergence event. Not necessarily arrival, not necessarily deployment, but convergence. Multiple assets entering optimal positions relative to Earth within a narrow time window. That window aligns with the final days of the extracted countdown. Another detail has quietly unsettled those reviewing the data. The AI has detected no attempts at direct communication with Earth. No greeting. No signal escalation intended for interception. No message simplified for translation. Everything remains encrypted, internal, controlled. That absence is itself information. If contact were the goal, the method would be different. Silence, in this context, is not uncertainty. It is exclusion. Internally, discussions have shifted from whether humanity is being observed to whether humanity is being evaluated. The difference is profound. Observation is passive. Evaluation leads to judgment. Judgment leads to action. NASA has not activated planetary defense measures publicly, but internal simulations are running continuously. None show favorable